Welcome to Styleplus Next Designer, the online web series where we search for the next up-and-coming marching arts apparel designer. I'm your host, Vance Anderson, and in the last episode you got a sneak peek at the beginning stages of the Configure Challenge, where the designers got to work with real clients to develop and design their clients' marching band uniforms. For this challenge, we're joined by Paul Simondac, better known to the marching arts community as Paul Script. Let's hand it over to Paul to hear more about this week's challenge.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Simondac. You might have seen me march with Carolina Crown, or with the ECF Pegasus Winter Guard, or maybe just online as Paul Script. But I'll be joining the Next Designer judging panel for this week's challenge, where the contestants have been asked to design a set of flags based on predetermined show themes and color palettes, all assigned at random. Each contestant will be designing 2 regular-sized flags and 1 swing flag to create a cohesive and seamless storyline told through flag designs. Let's see what the designers came up with in this week's challenge, Paul's Flag Race.
First up we have Lexi, whose design focus was the word pencil in the color palette green.
My flag design premises were the subject of pencils and the colors of green. So I decided to make a show that I just titled Make Your Mark. So I took my inspiration from several different things about pencils, from the way the stroke looks to how it would look if you stacked a bunch of pencils together, and even the pencil shavings. I thought it looked interesting, and it was a little out of the blue because if you don't know what any of them really look like, then you wouldn't get the full picture. I decided to use the Stardust Genesis on one of my flags to fit our criteria because I thought it looked best, and it just gave an overall, look at me finale song look. The swing flag was an interesting challenge because you wanted to make sure things were the right proportions, but the design also didn't get cut off weird. So I actually made those pencil shavings myself and took a picture of it. And the rest of it was a bunch of try after try in Illustrator and Photoshop to make it look the way I wanted, and resizing to make it look right on the actual flag. Overall, I think it turned out great, and the concept would come across to anyone who saw the show.
Joining us this week on the judging panel is Paul Simondac and designer and owner of Liz Rivas Ray Designs, Liz Rivas Ray.
Well, first of all, I love this. It's simple. I like the different color greens. I like the fact that it is a unique view on top of a pencil. This will be very successful. I have nothing bad to say about it. She could even do something like add a gradient across it if she wanted to make it pop a little bit more, but really I think it looks very good. This is exactly what I would be looking for.
Yeah, I really like all the colors that she involved here, usually with crosshatch designs like this where you have a lot of colors across the flag. It shows it pretty well. Usually, again, you might go with an ombre flag with the gradient going across, but this would still show up pretty well from a distance.
I think the thing that I like about this the most is that it's an interesting view. You wouldn't really think that this is pencil, but if you look into it, it makes sense.
Well, first off, I like that she's gone for a very obvious, noticeable theme here. This is definitely pencil shavings. We know what it is. I would say from far away on the field, I think it might get a little bit confusing what it might be. It kind of looks like fortune cookies right now. I would say maybe she could add another element in with it to possibly make it pop a little bit more, and more color. There needs to be a little bit more color.
Same thing, it's a white flag with stuff on it, so that could be a little bit hard to read. I think maybe a funner design would maybe be the whole flag itself is a pencil shaving. The whole thing is a pencil shaving, maybe have color on the rim, but I get what she was going for here. Again, it would be a little bit hard to read if the flag is moving pretty fast, especially when you do swing flag work. So good ideas here, but maybe a little bit hard to read from a distance.
Yeah, she took this interpretation very literal. I think the hardest thing about being in this field is how are you going to make your design be separate and stand out from other people's. I could very well easily look up a picture of pencil shavings and then throw it on a flag silk for myself. So how do you make that stand out, and how do you make people want your designs?
I really like this one. One thing with regular flags, and whenever you spin from the tab, having angular designs going from one corner to the other corner makes them really exposed. However, the pencil here is at the angle where it's pointing at the tab, so whenever you spin, it won't be as confusing, because usually what happens if the design is going from the top point of the flag to the bottom tip, it can be very weird to watch and very exposed. But I think this would look very well from a distance, and the design and the color scheme is very apparent here.
So I'm looking at the Genesis overlay that she put on it. I may have, this is more of like a sparkle, and I'm not sure if I feel like it goes, it's like a starburst. I would have maybe gone with the Genesis dots, because pencils have, a point to them. The pencil being right there in that spot, I would like to see a more unique perspective. Perhaps the pencil going off of the silk and larger. I think it's a little too simplified. I do like that she has the design coming out and going off the flag. We need to make sure that we're just not containing everything in that little rectangle. We're giving part of the picture, but we want to give more. And that's why it's okay for your design to run off the flag a little bit. Maybe even if she had like 3 pencils going out in different directions. And the background color, I would do something a little bit different with, make it pop.
Yeah, the same thing here. Like, how do you make something so simple as a pencil stand out and want someone to reach out to you for your designs? Right now, it's just a little too simple for me. Next up, we have Milo, who's assigned the word produce in the gray color palette.
What can I do with produce and gray? And then I thought about, if I took this word and I made it not like produce, but produce, because it's spelled the same. So I literally decided in that moment that I would change this up entirely and do something different than I originally thought. I decided I would take sort of a vintage kind of industrial revolution kind of look. So instead of this very narrow specific topic that you would have, it's in a whole range of things. No longer was I attached to Kroger and Safeway. Even though gray is such a neutral color, it's difficult to make it pop out on the field. Instead of using it as a highlight, I used it as a base color to create contrast between like a different accent color. The color that I decided to go with as that accent color, or that set of accent colors, is warm colors. Because if you're thinking about like firepower, coal power, that's a lot of burning of fuel as a pull color for what's on the field. I'm really happy with these words, even though I was kind of unsettled at the beginning. And the more I think about it, the more I kind of see it in my head. I see this full image of what would that program look like on the field. I started immediately seeing it all work together as one whole package that could end up being an actual show.
First, I think it's very successful, the fact that we have a trio of the smokestacks. Things in 3s and 5s are more visually pleasing to the eye. And then we have a separate kind of visual point that grabs us in, which is that kind of hazy sun in the background. I think it's very successful. The only thing is, when it gets kind of dark and muddy like this, it may not read as well as you think from far away. Like, this looks like a really cool image, and I really am very interested in it up close, but it may look a little bit muddy and not as pronounced as you may think. So keeping that in mind, I do really like the imagery though. Very well done.
Yeah, this is a cool flag. I mean, again, with the smokestacks, and I just like seeing just that bright color in the top right. I think that's just beautiful in general. I like seeing a good ombre flag, and this could be a good flag to really show off that color that he has here.
I like the fact that his subject isn't necessarily like lit up, like you're just seeing silhouettes, but you still get the idea of what he's going for. And you still get, like, you have all those muted colors, but you do have the bright sun and the orange and the haziness. I do see what you're saying, Liz. Yeah, like far away, this could look very, very muddy. Like, maybe if we pronounce those lines a little better, just find a better way to make the image stick off the flag a little bit better.
The amber color is very nice. I think it goes with the theme, and with the first flag, it definitely is friends with that color scheme. And then we've got kind of that circular ambiance bokeh that he kind of had before. So I think this would fit.
I mean, it's a great looking flag. Beautiful photo here. I think whenever I think of this, the first flag was very industrial. This reminds me of sparks or fire. So starting something up, I think this is a great choice.
I like the fact that he picked this one to introduce more color, because this first flag was a little bit more muted with like a hint of color. Now we're adding in more and more color, and the darkness is starting to take like the background.
So I can definitely tell what is happening here. We've got this industrial vibe. We've layered, 3 different types of imagery here. So that kind of gives a little bit of visual interest and diversity. I like the kind of Edison bulb in the taking a closer look at it. It's more detailed. And then we've got the gears in the background. Then we've got this telephone cord kind of coming up the side. That is the only thing that gets me, is that telephone cord, how it's angled like that. For some reason, it's throwing me off. If it kind of went over the curve and maybe there was like maybe 3 of them. So then you have 5 things going on in this imagery. And these are kind of going off the side. It's that going up, like that cross angle, that kind of throws me off. It stops the flag. But I really, really like the brightness of the orange and the bulb, and then that kind of everything else fades back. Very successful that way.
Yeah, I really like this design. Usually whenever I think of having an object really close to the pole like this could be a great reveal where you have maybe only some of the silk showing, and then all of a sudden once you open it fully, you can see this bright bulb. And I think that would be really cool for the show, whatever concept you'd be going for here.
Yeah, Paul, I didn't think about it like that. If you have that flag stripped from the tab all the way to the top stopper, all you're gonna see is the gray tail, and you're not gonna see any of that color until you open it up. So that's really good about like the color reveal. I agree with you, Liz, about that phone cord. It is like cutting off that tail. Like it's not making the flag look as long as it wants to, because it's like cutting off right at that ombre tail.